Hi everybody, this is Judy with Handcrafted Greetings, and today I'm going to show you a tool that I created for making box envelopes, and this will tell you what size paper that you need to start with and where to put the score lines. And in this tutorial I'll show you how to make the envelopes using that tool. So let's go down to my computer and I'll show you where to find that.
You can find my box envelope calculator at www.handcraftedgreetings.com. Go to Patterns and Instructions, Box Envelope Tool, and here all you'll need to do is enter your card length, that's the long side. So I'm going to do a 5.5 inch card by 4 1/4. And the thickness of my card is 1/4 inch. And I'll click Calculate. And now this tells me to make a simple box envelope with the attached flap. I need a piece of paper, need to start with 10 3/8 inch by 7 1/8 inch. And this is where I will put my score lines on the long edge and the short edge. Now if I want to make a larger flap, if I have a cutting die that cuts a fancy edging, I can make a detached flap. I also use this if I'm making a larger envelope that takes more than an 11 inch paper. So for instance, if I was making a card that was 5 inches wide, this takes an 11 7/8 inch paper. Well, if I want to make it, I don't have 11 7/8 inch cardstock, I can make it with a detached flap, and that's what this one down here is for. And I'll show you how to make both of those. So now I'm going to head up to the craft room and put this card together. So we're going to do the 5.5 by 4 1/4.
Okay, I'm making a simple envelope for the 5.5 by 4 1/4 inch card with a 1/4 inch thickness. And I'm going to start with a 10 3/8 by 7 1/8 inch piece of paper. And now I'm going to switch to my scoring blade. And on the long edge, I'm going to score it 3.5, 3 3/4, 8 1/8, and 8 3/8. I'm going to turn this and score at 1/2, 3/4, 6 3/8, and 6 5/8. So now all the scoring is done. Now I'm going to need to do the cutting, and for that I've marked the score lines. I have another one that I did. So we're going to cut on these red lines. So on the long end, there's one end that's a little bit longer than the other. On this one, the longer one, we're going to cut all the way to the second score line. You're going to go into the second score line and cut all the way down to the second score line. And then in from the edge here. So we're making this little tab. So it's just going to look just like that. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. And this is going to be the bottom of the envelope. Now for the other side, we just cut, go to the second score line in, cut to the second score line. So we're just going to cut that whole
section off. And same here. Oops, second score line. There. Now we've got it cut. And I like to round my corners, so I'm going to get my corner rounder. This is the bottom of the envelope that's going to fold up. Actually, I put the color on the inside, so it's going to fold up this way. So I'm going to round. I like to round all my corners. I think it just looks nicer. So we've got those, these are flaps, and then I like to also round these. And to do that, to get it in the corner rounder, you're gonna have to fold this. Oops. Helps if I put it in the right place. It's a lot easier to see on this side. Okay, all that's done. And now we just need to do our scoring and gluing. So I'm gonna go ahead and score those lines. If I was using cardstock, I'd use a scorer, but this is just paper. Use my scoring tool, which I've misplaced. Okay, so now we've got all of those scored. So this is how the construction's going to go. These sides are going to come in. This is going to come up and glue on top like that, and this is going to come down. So the next thing we want to do is put our white liner inside the envelope flap. There it is. And I put this as close to the edge as I can. And you want to make sure that you're on the second score line to do this. And this little flap that we made is just a little bit of a reinforcement for that corner. I usually I put glue on that. I think it's a little bit easier. You could put white liner on that too, but it's just as reinforcement. I put glue on because it's a little bit easier to put the thing together. I have a piece of tile that is just the right thickness for this, so I find it's easiest to put something in there to really help you get this corner right. So I'm going to put that there. I guess it helps if I pull this white liner off first. Pull this off. I pull both sides off. You want to do that because otherwise it's just too hard to get to. Okay, so now pull this up and make sure that I get that edge lined up just right. There. And now I'm going to pull this in. Move my tile over to that corner. Whoops, moved it too far. There. We want to get it right in the corner. And line the sides up. There. And there's your envelope. And it's just right for your dimensional card. There we go. All ready to mail. The box envelope with the separate flap is pretty much the same concept. We're just adding a little bit of length. And what this will let you do is create an envelope with the flap a different color than the rest of the envelope, and I'm going to show you that. So here I've already cut my paper. It's the 8 7/8 by 7 1/8, and I've got my 5 5/8 by 3 1/4, and I cut it out of this pretty yellow paper. It was some that I had in my scrap box. And so this is going to be the front of the envelope, the front flap of the envelope, and this is going to be the rest of the envelope. So I'll show you that. Same thing here. Now this one, you don't have as much on the top because you don't need that larger flap. So, but this is the bottom part, and we're cutting in again on the second line, and I don't know how well you can see this, but this is exactly the same as the first one. We're going to cut in, we're going to cut the little tab. This tab's more important with with a paper. It doesn't really hold that well with if you're cutting from cardstock, which I recommend. If you're going to be mailing these, you definitely want to use cardstock. So that there's that tab, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And up here again. And I'm going to use my corner rounder on this. And on two sides of this. Okay, just got that done. And I'm going to fold this, make it easier for me to see, actually. Now this is just going to attach right here, and it should be just the right length if I did my measuring right. So I'm going to go ahead and put some white liner on there. You could glue this too. And I'm going to put a strip on the very edge of this too. This is my desktop trash can. That way I don't get all those little pieces of paper all over the place. So I'm going to line that up. There we go. Now the rest of the folding, I got just a tiny bit off. Rest of the folding is exactly the same, and the envelope assembly is exactly the same. So I'm not gonna bore you with that part. I just wanted to show you how to add that extra flap. So this is gonna, and these still fold in. This is gonna go together just like this. So we've got a white envelope on the outside, this pretty pattern on the inside, and got a nice pretty colored flap. So that's how you do the separate large flap. Thank you for watching, and if you found this helpful, give me a thumbs up. You can visit my website at www.handcraftedgreetings.com or my Fun Stampers Journey site at funstampersjourney.com/Judy Hedrick.